All news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
62 degrees, cloudy at 10:20. I'm Lane Bajardi. Here's what's happening. At least 2 people killed after heavy rain and wind caused havoc today. The aftermath and the AccuWeather forecast ahead. 5 people indicted in connection with an online drug trafficking network that killed 3, including Robert De Niro's grandson. A home health aide is accused of stabbing an 84-year-old woman in Massapequa. Hundreds of students get brand new running shoes for free ahead of the New York City Marathon. And New York comes in third on a list of cities plagued by rats. Sports: Islanders in Carolina, Rangers in Edmonton, Devils in San Jose. AccuWeather says rain ending tonight, remaining breezy with some clearing late and a low of 52. Winds News Time 10:21. Let's get you where you need to go. Kelly Dillon.
The westbound Belt Parkway is completely shut down in Brooklyn tonight at 65th Street with flooding. Traffic backing up through the Verrazano. Also, flooding continues on the Cross Island both ways at the Throgs Neck Bridge. We have lanes subject to closure. Everyone heading to the Clearview, which is at a standstill. Southbound down to the LIE, and the LIE's got some flooding continuing between the Clearview and the Cross Island, some lane closures and bumper-to-bumper delays. Flooding also on the LIE. Here's what we see on Long Island's Big 3 on the westbound side at Little Neck Parkway, knocking out the right lane. A crash is on the westbound Northern State right now as you make your way into, looks like Lakeville Road. That takes out a couple lanes, bumper-to-bumper. Luckily, Southern State, not too bad through Hempstead. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Across the George both ways, lower decks, they are closed tonight for construction. Upper decks, right now, each way about a 15-minute backup. Not too bad at the Lincoln or the Holland. You can head to either instead, and across the Brooklyn Bridge tonight we are nice and quiet. Kelly Dillon, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
The worst behind us now when it comes to the flooding rainfall we've seen today, but the damage is done. The cleanup is underway. And at least 2 lives were lost in the city. More on that in a moment, but first, meteorologist Brian Thompson with a look at what's ahead.
The widespread heavy rainfall has now shifted off to the north and east. We'll still have a couple of showers left over into this evening, but again, the threat for widespread heavy rain has ended, but the rain certainly did pack a punch. We saw around 2.5 inches of rain in White Plains and Westchester County, and much of the 5 boroughs picked up nearly 2 inches of rain, and much of that fell in about an hour and a half with some of the heavy rain this afternoon. Now, the rain will be moving out tonight. We're getting a bit of a break from the wind, but behind this storm, the wind is going to pick back up again as we head through tomorrow afternoon and evening when we have a wind advisory in effect. We could have some gusts again, up to 40 or 50 miles per hour, much like we saw earlier today.
A tragic result of the weather tonight. In Brooklyn, a man was killed in a flooded basement while apparently trying to save his pets. FDNY sent rescue divers in to 564 Kingston Avenue.
A man searching for at least one of his dogs through the floodwaters in his basement is dead. The FDNY says rescue divers found him in the water, and sources say this victim is a 39-year-old man pronounced dead on scene. He was inside of the basement searching through the water and never came out. At this time, it's unclear the exact cause of his death, but the medical examiner is working to determine that. Mary Lynn Buckley, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in East Flatbush.
Another tragic situation with a 43-year-old man found unconscious and unresponsive in a flooded boiler room in a similar incident that happened in Washington Heights. Republican mayoral candidate Curtis Sliwa was out on the flooded streets of New York, posting a video at West 26th Street by the West Side Highway. Floodwaters around him. He says if elected mayor, he'll make sure the drains are clear and open to do their job.
The sewers, the catch basins haven't been cleaned. It should be cleaned on a regular basis and you won't have this overflow. So what you have here and on side streets everywhere is this incredible collection of water.
For his part, Mayor Adams said crews did prepare with an expectation there would be less rain falling over a longer period of time. Major wind gusts also brought down trees and branches, forced thousands of cancellations and delays at the 3 major airports. Sliwa also calling for the city to do more preventative work to cut down dead trees and branches before days like today. 5 people indicted in what prosecutors call an online social media network for drug trafficking that killed 3 teens, including Robert De Niro's grandson.
Prosecutors say this was using the power of social media and encrypted messaging platforms to sell fentanyl. Southern District U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton.
The platforms used by the defendants included, among others, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, and Telegram.
Leandro De Niro Rodriguez was one of 3 19-year-olds who died. DEA Special Agent in charge, Frank Tarantino, says technology is now a tool for drug traffickers.
Drug traffickers and drug trafficking organizations have weaponized social media in a way that allows them to expand their network.
Sophia Marks, known as the Percocet Princess, was charged with selling the drugs. Mac Rosenberg, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
The NYPD and DEA announcing a massive crackdown on drug traffickers at Washington Square Park. Residents have complained for years of an open-air drug market in that village landmark. Now the feds say 19 people have been arrested supplying the fentanyl, crack, and heroin that's been sold there. Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch says today they're reclaiming Washington Square Park and restoring a sense of safety and order. A whole portion of that park, people who walk through it know you don't want to walk past a lot of the people doing their business there. 62 degrees, cloudy skies. We're going down to 52 in Midtown. Now, Bloomberg Money Watch.
Amazon Web Services, the e-commerce giant's cloud computing unit, saw revenue shoot up 20% last quarter from a year ago, raking in $33 billion. That sent Amazon shares as high as 11% higher in late trading. The Dow was down 110 points. The tech-heavy NASDAQ down 377. That's a 1.5% decline. The S&P lost 68. And chipmaker Intel now in talks about acquiring the Bay Area-based custom AI chipmaker Samba Nova. Could be worth $5 billion. I'm Tom Busby. Bloomberg Money Watch on 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
1010 Wins.
Consistent, credible, reliable.
Straight and to the point.
Everything you need to know.
1010 Wins.
All news, all the time.
On 92.3 FM.
Wins News Time, 10:30.
Good evening. I'm Mario Bosquez. Police say a woman in her 80s was stabbed in her own home, and they have an eye on a suspect.
Authorities say it was the nighttime home health aide who stabbed the 84-year-old Massapequa resident in the chest and then fled. This resident says it's scary to see his longtime neighbor the victim of an awful crime.
And she's a nice lady. Sorry to hear that it happened.
After surgery, the retired social worker is in serious, critical condition at the hospital. The 23-year-old aide, Amanda Frazier, faces an attempted murder charge.
I think our health system and nursing aides, they need to step up their game big time.
Police say Frazier will be arraigned after she's evaluated at the hospital. Sophia Hall, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Massapequa, Long Island.
No word what might have led to the attack. Wins News Time 10:31. Let's get you where you need to go with Kelly Dillon.
We've got a mess in Brooklyn, the westbound belt at 65th Street. All lanes are closed and detoured still with flooding. Traffic backing up through the Verrazano. In Queens, we've got flooding still. All lanes subject to closure on the Cross Island by the Throgs Neck. And the LIE heading eastbound flooding as well, with a few lanes out from the Clearview to the Cross Island. And the southbound Clearview at a standstill because of all that extra volume into the LIE. We're also dealing with a crash now on the westbound Northern State Parkway at exit 26 for New Hyde Park Road in North Hempstead. The left lane is out. And the westbound LIE in the same area at Little Neck Parkway, flooding in the right lane, backing up traffic. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. The George Washington Bridge both ways, the lower deck's out for construction. Upper levels in each direction, about 25 minutes. Luckily, both the Lincoln and the Holland, they are now quiet, so you can head to either instead. Kelly Dillon, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
Let's get a check of the AccuWeather forecast with meteorologist Brian Thompson.
There still will be a couple of lingering showers early tonight, otherwise breezy with some clearing later on, a low of 52. The wind will pick back up as we head through tomorrow. A wind advisory is in effect for tomorrow afternoon and evening. With times of sun and clouds, we'll see a high of 56. Winds will gust as high as 40 to 50 miles per hour at times. AccuWeather real field temperatures may stay in the 40s all day long. Keep that in mind for trick-or-treating tomorrow evening. It will still be quite windy. It will be blustery through the night with a clearing sky, low 48. Then Saturday, breezy and cool with a mix of clouds and sun, high 57. It's pretty sunny for the marathon on Sunday. Just a little bit of a breeze at times, but the breeze shouldn't really get much past 20 miles per hour much of the time, while the high again, 57. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's weather station, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Passengers aboard a JetBlue flight recovering.
JetBlue Flight 2030 was heading from Cancun to Newark when JetBlue says a plane dropped in altitude. The FAA says a crew had a flight control problem involving the Airbus A320. The flight diverted to Tampa, where medics evaluated customers and crew members and took those needing more medical care to hospitals. JetBlue says the aircraft has been taken out of service and a full investigation will be conducted. Alex Stone, EBC News.
If you find yourself cooling your heels at a bus stop where with nowhere to sit while you wait, there is help on the way. The city says a $40 million investment will result in benches, leaning bars at nearly 9,000 more bus stops. Executive Director, Transportation Alternatives, Ben Furness tells us.
When I see a bus stop without a place to sit, and my 3-year-old and 5-year-old are like wriggling all around, I'm like, oh my gosh. But if there's a bench, then I can sit down, and it's great. This is something that every bus rider deserves.
However, it is expected to be a 10-year project with work starting next month. Marathon Sunday with just some very young runners also hitting the pavement. Around 400 of those school kids getting brand new running shoes.
She started running when she was in the 5th grade. Now 13-year-old Sophia, who attends middle school on the Upper East Side, is helping the next generation as a road runner youth ambassador.
Some of these kids may not have even considered running as a hobby. Some may have been running, but they don't have the proper resources.
The kids chose their size and tested the sneakers out in the Marathon Finish Line Pavilion. You like them?
Yeah.
And how will these help you run?
More faster.
The Roadrunners partnership with New Balance has helped them give out over 60,000 pairs of sneakers over the past 8 years. Marla Diamond, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM in Central Park.
The rattiest so-called city of the country has been named. It's not New York, but we're not too far behind. At number 1, L.A., Chicago at number 2, New York checked in at 3. The rotor numbers crunching from Orkin.
We know that sitting too long is
pest control. A cup of hot cocoa has always been seen as a comfort drink, especially this time of year. But could cocoa be a cure of sorts for what ails you?
We know that sitting too long isn't good for your health, but what may help is a cup of hot chocolate. A University of Birmingham study found that flavanol-rich foods like cocoa, tea, berries, and apples can help improve vascular function in men who are spending long periods sitting during the day. Sedentary behavior can lead to a higher risk of heart disease and strokes.
Michael George with the story. While NASA says it is going to shop around for vehicles to get U.S. astronauts back on the moon, SpaceX insists it is still in the game, releasing a so-called To the Moon and Beyond blog today. This less than 2 weeks after acting NASA Administrator, Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy publicly announced that he plans to open up the contract, as he put it, for getting U.S. astronauts on the moon. $10,000, that could be yours, small business owners. The clock is ticking on your chance to win the 10 grand challenge. Get to 1010wins.com/challenge and register today. 1010wins.com/challenge.
The Newswatch never stops. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good evening. 63 degrees at 10:40. I'm Mario Bosques. Here's what's happening. 2 lives were lost in the turbulent weather, both in flooded basements. Officials say AccuWeather will tell us what's ahead. Yellow school buses will keep rolling next week thanks to a last-minute deal between bus companies and the city. Among polls showing a growing lead, Zoran Mamdani continues a push for free city buses. The MTA says not so fast. Amid possible slashes to SNAP benefits this weekend, Governor Hochul activates a food emergency for the state of New York. Some high schoolers take the fright out of Halloween with gifts of dolls to kids in need. AccuWeather with the latest on the rough and damaging weather. The Islanders lose. News Time 1041. Let's get you where you need to go with Kelly Dillon.
We've got a mess in Brooklyn tonight. The westbound Belt Parkway into 65th Street. All lanes still shut down because of flooding, backing up traffic through the Verrazano. There's flooding as well in Queens tonight on the eastbound LIE from about the Clearview through the Cross Island. A couple lanes are closed still. The southbound Clearview at a standstill as well. Into the LIE. Looks like the Cross Island flooding subsided both ways near the Throgs Neck Bridge. Here's what we see on Long Island Big 3, the westbound LIE at Little Neck Parkway, flooding in the right lane, still slowing up traffic. There was a crash in the westbound Northern State at Lakeville Road. That's been cleared and delays easing out. We're okay on the Southern State. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Across the George both ways, lower decks out for construction, upper decks quite busy into Jersey right now, about a half-hour wait. Inbound, no delay at the toll. And if you can, the Lincoln or the Holland, they are both quiet. Head there instead. Kelly Dillon, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
Rough and damaging weather claims 2 lives in our area. More on those tragedies in a moment. First, a look at AccuWeather with meteorologist Brian Thompson to see what's ahead.
There were some strong winds earlier today, and then the rains came. We saw around 2 inches of rain across much of the 5 boroughs, even a little bit more than that across parts of the Hudson Valley. Now, we'll still have a couple of showers to deal with early tonight. There might even be a brief downpour in spots, but certainly not a repeat of earlier, and those showers will be diminishing. The wind, which is going to be a bit on the breezy side as we head through tonight, is going to pick back up tomorrow. We expect strong winds throughout the day, and there is a wind advisory in effect for tomorrow afternoon and evening. So while it will be mainly dry, we will have to watch for the potential for some strong winds, even into trick-or-treating time tomorrow evening.
2 area deaths being blamed on this turbulent weather we just went through. Investigators say in one case, a man, 39, in Prospect Lefferts Gardens died when he went into a flooded basement to rescue 1 or more dogs. Rescue divers went in, but the victim was pronounced dead at the scene at 564 Kingston Avenue. No ID released. The condition of the pets is not known. The victim's cause of death to be determined by the medical examiner if he drowned or was electrocuted in the waters. And in Washington Heights, the floodwaters claimed another victim in a flooded basement. Heavy storms moved through the area, and the death reported there where a man, 43, was found unresponsive in a flooded boiler room, pronounced dead at the scene. Investigations are currently underway on both. Brooklyn definitely hit hard.
The flooding along Knickerbocker Avenue was so bad the water rose as high as car headlights. Vincent says he was trying to get out of the way.
The sewer drain is what happened. A lot of the dirt and debris went inside the sewer drain and it overclogged it. I've never seen it happen before, ever.
And for Luigi, a delivery truck driver, he was stuck trying to navigate through the water behind the wheel.
My headlight, it was crazy.
The water came up to your headlight?
Yeah, almost by my headlight. But bumper, past my bumper. For my truck, yeah.
Knickerbocker Avenue is full of storefronts. Multiple businesses now are trying to figure out how to get all of the water out of their stores. Mary Lynn Buckley, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Bushwick.
We were hit by power outages after the day of heavy rains and strong winds all across the tri-state. Speaking live here on 1010 Wins earlier today, Commission of City Emergency Management, Zach Giscall.
We have crews from Department of Environmental Protection that are going out there to make sure the catch basins are working and to clear some of that residual flooding. We have some NYPD folks out there that are getting traffic moving. So things happening all over the city.
Keep it here on 1010 Wins for the latest in AccuWeather. At the same time, Hurricane Melissa still churning up trouble in the waters of the Caribbean, but downgraded from an original Cat 5 in Jamaica. It was the strongest to hit that nation on record.
Personnel are being sent from Washington and regional hubs with search and rescue specialists from Los Angeles County and Fairfax County on their way to Jamaica right now, also the Bahamas and the Dominican Republic. Now, their arrival, that's expected within the next 24 to 48 hours, and the teams will coordinate with local agencies to provide aid, particularly in hard-hit areas of Jamaica where at least 7 people have died and widespread damage has occurred.
Ike Kajochi reporting. Here at home, reports tonight say the school buses will keep rolling on next week. It turns out the Midward City officials and bus companies made a last-minute deal to avoid that service disruption. The threat had caused much controversy and outrage, as around 150,000 students could have been left stranded without bus rides on those yellow buses. The agreement reached just 1 day before the expiration of multiple yellow bus providers' agreements. There's word a temporary extension will be signed, put into place to keep the service going while they work out a longer-term contract. Among polls that show a growing lead, mayoral contender Zoran Mamdani, though, he still continues a push for free city buses. The MTA says not so fast.
The concerns with Zoran Mamdani's free bus plan are the same ones he ran into with his pilot program to make one bus route free in each borough.
I take things that are said with a grain of salt about the lack of changing the way that we do things here in New York City. I continue to be excited by the popularity we've seen of making buses fast and free and by the feasibility of doing so.
MTA Chair Jano Lieber says an expansive cost analysis would be needed. How much does Mamdani look at the polls?
Polls give us a snapshot in time. It's great when there's a good one. It's, we look past it when there's a bad one, but really all they are a prediction.
He says they just need to get out there and canvass. Mac Rosenberg, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Taking the pulse of the New Jersey race for governor with varying takes on this one. First, a Pix 11 Emerson College polling in The Hill, calling it a tight race with Democrat Mikey Sherrill holding a 1% lead over Republican Jack Citarelli. On the other hand is Quinnipiac polling, which puts Sherrill ahead by 8 points in a new poll. Quinnipiac University polling analyst Tim Malloy telling 1010 when she is being boosted by two elements.
Mikey Sherrill gets high marks as far as her service in the military, her service in government, and she has a 20-point lead with women, which is something you really got to watch. 20 points is a gigantic margin, and that may be, the break point.
However, the Republican pollster Adam Geller of National Research pushing back on Quinnipiac's numbers, saying, according to him, their methodology does not use a voter list, but rather landlines. Amid possible cuts to SNAP benefits, Governor Hochul activates a food emergency for New York State with a major infusion of money.
My team has secured an additional $65 million on top of that. Come on. The new emergency funding, bringing our total investment this week alone to $106 million. That'll provide over 56 million meals to help stock our food pantries and our distribution centers.
From a news conference today, she also announced she'll be deploying SUNY Empire State Service Corps members to help support the food banks. At the same time, a federal judge in Boston today challenging the Trump administration's argument that SNAP benefits could be suspended for the first time in the aid program's history because of the government shutdown. Alleged abusive landlords, lawmakers have their eye on you.
Tenants deal with all types of harassment. Organizer Aura Mejia says, for instance,
they're being taken to house and court for non-payment cases, but they've been paying their rent.
That's why Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg is joining local lawmakers to close a loophole in the criminal code. According to Assemblymember Michael Lasher,
and it should not be the case that a landlord can escape appropriate legal action simply by harassing tenants in multiple buildings.
The proposed felony would increase penalties and address repeat offenders. Julia Papa, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Some high schoolers take the fright out of Halloween with gifts of dolls to kids in need. We'll tell you about that, but first. Quiz News Time 1051 is get you where you need to go with Kelly Dillon.
Flooding is shutting down the westbound belt in Brooklyn at 65th Street tonight. All lanes closed and detoured, and traffic is backing up through the Verrazano. We are also crowded in Queens with flooding on the eastbound LIE. From the Clearview to the Cross Island, a couple lanes are down, and then the Cross Island, some lanes out as well by the Throgs Neck Bridge with flooding. Starting to subside, though. Southbound the Clearview, lots of extra volume down through the LIE. The Bronx River Parkway flooding, shutting down the roadway, of course, through Yonkers and White Plains tonight. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Across the George, both ways, lower decks out for construction. The upper decks open, but into Jersey, at least a 25-minute backup now. The Lincoln Tunnel, about 10 minutes in either direction. The Holland, it is quiet. The Queensboro Bridge into Queens, bumper-to-bumper delays now as looks like construction setting up on the upper deck. Better at the Queens Midtown Tunnel. Kelly Dillon, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
Let's get a check of the AccuWeather forecast with meteorologist Brian Thompson.
Still a few showers around early tonight. There might even be a brief downpour in one or two spots, but certainly not a repeat of earlier when we had the widespread heavy rain. We'll be breezy with some clearing late tonight, low 52. Still some strong winds into tomorrow. In fact, the wind will pick back up again for tomorrow, and much like we saw earlier today, there will be some wind gusts of 40 or 50 miles per hour. There is a wind advisory for tomorrow afternoon and evening because of that. We'll have some sunshine, a high of 56. AccuWeather real field temperatures in the 40s. Keep in mind, it's still going to be quite windy for trick-or-treating tomorrow evening. Temperature around 54, but real feel still in the 40s. And then the weekend, not as windy. It'll still be breezy at times with some sunshine. Highs in the mid to upper 50s. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's weather station, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
Students at one Long Island high school spent days making special homemade presents for children in need this Halloween.
The colorful monster dolls are lined up, ready to give to the children from the Bethany House. Baldwin High School student 17-year-old Myra Simungal says she spent days making each doll.
This type of shape with the ears and stuff, it took a little bit longer. It takes like about a day for me. And then to add a decorations, that's another day, so like 2 days.
16-year-old Lyra Gilling says she pictured the children's faces as they received the Halloween gifts.
Sometimes like a stuffed animal that's made like handmade might help them and like bring joy.
The Bethany House helps mothers and children who are homeless. Sophia Hall, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM on Long Island.
WINS, WINS FM in HD1 New York. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
More people get their news from 1010 Winds and from any other radio station in the nation. Sweetina Kakar, editor's desk. I'm Mario Bosquez.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Winds at 92.3 FM, New York.
63 degrees, cloudy at 11 o'clock. Good evening, I'm Lane Gajardi. Here's what's happening. Heavy rain and wind caused deadly havoc today. The aftermath and the AccuWeather forecast ahead. 2 new polls out on the New Jersey governor's race. Both have the Democrat ahead, but one shows it too close to call. Prosecutors and lawmakers joined forces to write new laws targeting bad landlords. You can call him the Andrew formerly known as Prince. Prince Andrew stripped of his royal honors ahead of expected bombshells and the eventual release of the Epstein files. Diddy is moving from Brooklyn to a prison cell in the Garden State. Sports, Islanders lose, Rangers in Edmonton, Devils in San Jose. AccuWeather says, rain ending tonight, remaining breezy with some clearing late, low 52. Strong winds tomorrow. The latest from AccuWeather in 1 minute. Winds news time 11:01. Let's get you where you need to go with Kelly Dillon.
We've got a mess in Queens with flooding tonight. First on the eastbound LIE at Springfield Boulevard. All lanes now closed here with flooding. Then the ramp to the Cross Island shut down as well with flooding. As a result, the southbound Clearview at a standstill into the LIE right now. We are picking up as well in Brooklyn, the westbound belt at 65th Street. Everything shut down with flooding. Traffic is backing up through the Verrazano. We also have flooding shutting down the Bronx River Parkway tonight. To both ways through Yonkers and White Plains, everything is closed and detoured. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Across the George both ways, lower decks closed tonight for construction. Upper decks are open, but into Jersey, it's about a 25-minute backup. About 10 to 15 now, both ways at the Lincoln Tunnel as construction is setting up, closing a tube. The Holland is looking okay in either direction. You can head there instead. The Queensboro Bridge, Queensbound. Construction is setting up on the upper and lower decks, getting quite crowded. So the Queens Midtown Tunnel, it is better. And here's what we see on Long Island's Big Three. The westbound LIE is a bit slow into Little Neck Parkway with flooding in the right lane. Otherwise, quiet now on the northern and southern states. Kelly Dillon, 1010 Winds at 92.3 FM.
We're learning tonight of at least 2 deaths related to today's flooding rainfall. Sources tell us a 39-year-old man was killed when he went into a flooded basement apartment to rescue his dogs. FDNY sent rescue divers into 564 Kingston Avenue and Prospect Lefferts Gardens just before 4:30. Not yet known if the man drowned or was electrocuted, as it is very dangerous to jump into flooded water that may be connected to live electricity sources. In a very similar incident in Washington Heights, a 43-year-old man was found unconscious and unresponsive in a flooded boiler room. Same situation. No word on the exact cause of death tonight. At least 2 inches of rain fell in and around the city in a very short period of time. Meteorologist Brian Thompson with a look at what's ahead.
Well, even though there still will be some showers into early tonight and perhaps even a brief downpour in some spots, it's not going to be a repeat performance of what we saw earlier during the mid to late afternoon hours when some heavy rain moved across the area. Many places picked up over an inch of rain in the span of an hour. and much of the city picked up close to 2 inches of rain. We saw about 2.5 inches of rain in White Plains. Now, again, the rain will be winding down tonight, but the wind is not. We're getting a bit of a break from the wind. It'll be breezy tonight, but the wind will pick back up tomorrow. And much like we saw earlier today, we could easily see winds gusting to 40 or 50 miles per hour at times tomorrow for Halloween.
2 inches of rain falling over the course of an hour. Right around high tide is a recipe for disaster in many flood-prone areas. Combine that with the leaves falling off the trees and clogging up the storm basins. The water has nowhere to go. Quite a mess in Brooklyn, Queens, Jersey City, and Hoboken. The usual suspects facing major impacts, shutting down roads and locking down traffic.
The heavy rain in Bushwick turning Knickerbocker Avenue into what looked like a river. Vincent says he's never seen anything like this in his life.
Cars that had boots on it was floating in the middle of the street. The water was real high. They had to have the kids come out there and clean the sewers, and nothing was moving at all. There was no cars moving at all.
As emergency crews are working to get the water under control and catch basins clear, store owners are dealing with severe flooding, like Daniel, the CEO of Doral Health and Wellness.
We got flooded. We got about 4, 5, 6 inches of water in there, so we're still recovering now. We got a restoration company on the way.
Store owners are teaming up, going in with buckets to physically try to get the water out of their store and down the sewer. Mary Lynn Buckley, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM in Bushwick.
Mayor Adams joined us live on 1010 Winds to discuss the response to the storms. He says crews were out yesterday preparing, but we got far more rain in a shorter period of time than predicted.
I've been living in Brooklyn for almost 30 years. I've never witnessed Fulton Street flooding at the level that we witnessed.
The mayor says we're continuing to see the effects of climate change in real time, with higher intensity storms taking their toll.
Our sewer systems are just not built to handle that.
Several subway stations also dealt with a deluge again as well. A home health aide accused of stabbing an 84-year-old in Massapequa.
A neighbor of the 84-year-old woman says he cannot believe she was stabbed in the chest. Authorities arrested her 23-year-old home health aide who was recently hired.
It's scary because I don't think you can trust anybody. I don't think you can trust anybody anymore. I think you need to watch your back.